I have come to ask you respectfully, could some other alternatives to garages be evaluated that would better utilize the current parking so that there's dynamic pricing and that ensures more convenience for people searching for parking, but also a cheaper alternative for Palo Alto, and also leveling the playing field between people who choose other modes such as biking or riding transit or walking versus sort of a free subsidy, maybe unintended, but embedded in free parking.
Yeah. No, I've heard a lot about this actually. So, just out of curiosity, I'm not that familiar with Menlo Spark. Can you tell me more about it?
Sure. So Menlo Spark began 3 years ago. We're a community nonprofit, independent from the city of Menlo Park, but working closely with the city government, with local businesses, residents, and community groups and schools. Our goal is to take the city to zero carbon emissions by 2025.
For Menlo Park, right?
For Menlo Park, but we're also working towards a more sustainable region because we understand that carbon pollution and other pollutants don't stop at the city borders.
Menlo Park's not an island. Right?
So no, it's not an island, and Palo Alto's done so much on sustainability, and so Menlo Park can both learn from Palo Alto and also sort of have a friendly competition of, who can decarbonize buildings or transportation faster. Can we work together to engage youth and community folks and just have it be a collaborative approach so that cities don't feel like they're taking a risk when in fact it makes good economic sense to be more sustainable.
Sure. Okay. Makes sense. So when did the organization start?
About 3 years ago in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
we just crossed our 3-year anniversary.
So were you one of the founders of it or start?
No, I have two co-founders, wonderful individuals, Chris DeCardi and Mitch Slomiak. They were environmental quality commissioners for Menlo Park and felt that our city could do better and reach more ambitious goals in terms of reducing greenhouse gas, and they formed this nonprofit, Menlo Spark, to prove that even small and suburban cities can play a leading role in reducing carbon.
I see. Makes sense. And I guess you guys all live in Menlo Park. Is that what I?
Actually, I live in Belmont.
Belmont.
So
Okay.
still peninsula, but
Okay.
no, I don't live in Menlo Park. It's sort of my adopted community now.
Awesome.
But Chris and Mitch live in the Willows, so really on the Palo Alto.
Okay. And are the members mainly Menlo Park people?
Yeah. So we have an advisory board of 9 folks that are all Menlo Park-based folks. I think one board member is based in East Palo Alto, so hyper local. Yeah.
Okay, great. Cool. Well, I love the mission. I think I'm not sure you saw the most recent Falcon Heavy launch from Elon Musk. So the little roadster. But
it's very cool.
I mean, I was watching the YouTube of it, right? And you watch that roadster as it kind of floats in space, and you see the Earth kind of drifting off, right? And you realize, we are, we on what they call, what was the term? Spaceship Earth, right? We're kind of like, and
right, we're sort of guests on the planet.
Yeah, that's right.
We should try not to break it.
Well, not just that, but it's like, in some ways, we're in a big, gigantic spaceship, right? And if you, don't take care of your environment, right? I mean, this is your.
There's no planet B.
That's right.
And I know Elon Musk, and I have a lot of respect for him. I know he's trying to have that as an insurance policy, in case the Earth becomes uninhabitable. But I mean, and that's so grim. Really, I think we should not be focused on stark issues like that and more on what can we do now in the immediate
my point is not so much that. It's just more just it's kind of like, because we're on Earth, right? And we think it's such a vast world, right? Because and it is vast, right? But then when you look at it from space, you realize, wow, they're just just a little speck, actually. Right?
Yeah, this little blue planet.
Yeah, it's a little blue planet, and if you don't take care of it, it'll have problems, right? So I like what you're trying to do. Did you follow the council meeting that we had on CalAv, the CalAv parking garages?
I wasn't able to be there, but I heard about it. And Palo Alto has a successful TMA. That's a Transportation Management Association. I think Adina Levin was in to talk to you about that a couple of weeks ago. And the city has had great success with reducing downtown traffic. We would love to see that expanded to CalAv. And I think that is under consideration because the TMA has, I think in the first year, it reduced single occupancy driving SOVs by 8% in 1 year. That's huge.
Yeah.
Kind of unprecedented.
Yeah.
And that success.
Especially given the amount of like funding it has, right? So it's like,
Right, it's pretty small.
If you think about like how much is that per car, you think, wow, that's like massive. Like, you know, compared to like the cost of building a parking garage per car is like $60,000-$70,000 per car, right?
Yes.
And then I think the whole Team A only is funded like $200K or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it's
modest effort
Yeah.
with big results.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it's sort of like an example of smart policy where it doesn't have to cost a lot to do these. You just have to be thoughtful about the way that you're managing transit or parking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the challenge in that area, and one of the proposals I made was to, and I'm not sure you've seen this, but there's a lot of these mechanical lift systems,
Mhm.
and the kind of neat thing about them is that, you know, today cars are very necessary, right? I mean, it's like, did you drive here?
I did.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so like, I mean, for a lot of things, like it's hard to bike. Like biking from Belmont would be, unless you're like some sort of Olympian, would be like
That's not for me.
that would be kind of a hard thing, right?
Yeah.
We still have 5 minutes,
So-
don't worry.
You know, you can take the train,
Yeah.
right? But you're
But then-
right that most of us are still driving.
But then if you take the train, the problem is like, you know, you got to time it just right, and then you might spend more time getting there than at so it's not very efficient.
You're really strong to haul your bike on that thing.
Yeah. Actually, I just got a luggage scale thing, so I was weighing my bike to see how heavy it is. My bike is 33 pounds. I have a lock on there, I have fenders, I have lights, you know, you put all that stuff on. You got to lift it all the way up, you know. And some people, it's hard for them to lift, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so I think it's not like all one or another, but it's kind of also like you want to come up with solutions that can also adapt with time.
Yeah.
So the really neat thing about mechanical lift systems is I think they can be disassembled.
Right.
So maybe if you build that structure, a parking structure, it's a parking structure now, but as transit improves, as people bike more, as you know, there's a big trend towards urbanization in general. But as the role of the car starts to diminish, I think they eventually will. Right? Not today. Today cars are quickly, especially here in the area. But as the role that diminishes, then you know these parking garages, rather than make them these static concrete structures, which can only, you know, because you're gonna have these slopes, right? The
Yeah.
ramps, they can only be used for parking cars. They can be used for other things, right? You could repurpose the structure for some other purpose, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that I advocate, and a few other kinds of people I advocate for. But you know, it's like the problem is like a lot of these kind of new things are hard for, you know, other people to understand. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's different, and they don't understand it, and you know, you can't quite understand like the benefits of it.
Right. Like, and that might feel too urban, or like, oh, that's a European thing, but
Well,
that
I mean,
could work really well here too. I think.
well, it's in Oakland, it's in San Francisco, it's in LA, it's in New York, right? It's in a lot of other cities.
Yeah.
But, you know, even though, I mean, it's usually in cities that have high land values,
Mhm.
but even though we have really, really high land values, we have relatively little of this, which is kind of weird because we're supposed to be the hotbed of innovation. Yeah, hotbed of innovation. But so
Yeah, the transportation is sort of stands out as this anachronism that like we're stuck back in time on transportation, yet we're a global center of innovation, like you say. The contrast is pretty stark.
it would be almost like, you know, in the days when it went from like horse and buggy to cars, right? And if we were like stuck with the horse and buggy things,
So we still have stuff.
cars will never come here. Solution. There's anything around horse and buggy. You need to have a stable for your horse, and you know, you need to have like the water and hay for your horse, and all this kind of stuff, right? And it'd be almost like that, right?
Yeah.
But I do think the things I've seen is that we hit peak car in terms of like number of cars. It's like a lot of the younger millennials, they're not
Choosing not to own a car.
choosing
It's
not to own a
expensive.
car,
It's
or
a hassle.
but it's not just that, but it's like it used to be the cool thing, right? If you think about like in the '60s, right? Detroit was like having a car was like the symbol of you know,
Freedom.
yeah. But today you ask the average millennial, and would you rather have a car or would you rather have a smartphone? I mean, the answer is very, very clear, right?
No question. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So it's true. You can see the decline in the future, and you know, no one can say how swiftly that will happen, but you can see it.
Well, I think it's somewhat inevitable. So I think we're about 7 billion people on Earth right now, right? And we're supposed to be hitting 10 billion soon. And can you imagine if everyone drove, like everyone in the world drove, like what would that mean? How much steel you need, how much fossil fuel you need,
And the developing world starts catching up, it will not look pretty.
Well,
and
like,
that's happening now, right?
Like in China, right?
Yeah.
They thought the model was follow the American model. Everyone have a car, but when you have a billion people, everyone has American lifestyle.
Right, and then they realize, hey, we can't breathe.
That's right. It's literally like you go to Beijing, right? So I grew up in LA, and in LA, I remember there used to be these smog alert days where, as a kid, we weren't supposed to go out and exercise because it was too much smog. Like, and people make fun of Beijing now. Like, oh, Beijing's like this horrible place, but LA, like when I was growing up, it was like that, like Beijing. And now LA is actually pretty good. Like, there's all these strict emission type stuff. But even Beijing, even China's realized that, like you pollute the air, you gotta breathe it somehow, right?
Yeah, they're suddenly taking swifter action on car standards than we are.
Yeah.
It's great.
Actually, what's interesting is, so I have an office in Shenzhen, and I think the first time I went to Shenzhen, it's a city in China. There used to be all these gas-powered like mopeds, right? Or motorcycles, you want to call them. And if you go to Shenzhen now, it's all electric.
Yeah,
in fact, I think it's banned. It must be banned. I don't see or hear.
I think that's right. I think the big industrial and port cities have had to take dramatic actions. They've electrified their trucks, freight trucks hauling containers. Well, the technology's here. It's not just Elon Musk doing it. The technology's been here for a while, and we're actually seeing some of the innovations and pioneering technology coming from China for that reason, because of air pollution. But
the other thing they do is bike shares, right? So they have these dockless bike shares. So in Shenzhen, it's like you see there's like 10 different bike shares. Like you don't need to have your own bike because like they're just all over the place.
They're everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
Wouldn't that be a beautiful sight here?
Our
climate, our weather's so beautiful.
I know, and we're flat too. It's a flat, So I've been trying to get that here, but I think the fear is, and there's also disaster pictures that show like this big garbage dump bike shares, right?
Well, there's got to be the maintenance.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, each bike needs to be equipped with some kind of locator, right? Some GPS device, so that they can be tracked and not just like thrown willy-nilly and making a mess.
I saw on way back there. I see that there's one guy over there who has this yellow bike share. So it's starting to come here, right? And and these dockless bike shares are almost impossible to regulate because of you don't need a dock. Right? With a dock, you can regulate it. Right? You have to have a dock on the sidewalk. But these dockless ones,
like line bikes.
Like line bikes, or I think the one I saw, it's either Ofo or I think Ofo's the yellow one.
Okay.
And but it's like it's kind of cool. I mean, the guy, I think the only he left it because he or she, whoever it is, parks right in front of the house and just leaves it unlocked. And it's kind of like it's kind of cool. I mean, I wish I saw more of that here because.
Me too, and I would love to see a little bit more of like an organized effort, like being thoughtful of where the pods are placed to serve people's needs.
Well, see, the dockless there are no pods. Right. It's basically you can. So the concept's pretty cool. Well, line bike, so it's like line bike. It's very much like line bike.
It sounds cool.
We are running out of time.
Okay.
Just one quick concern about the dockless bikes is that if you want people to try to ride more and drive less, uncertainty is a big impediment, because if I'm trying to get to a meeting, I want to know that when I step off the train, I'm going to have a lift or a bike available, something available to make that last mile.
Yeah, no, it's true, and you don't have the density here, right? I mean, in Shenzhen, so my staff there, nobody drives, right? Nobody drives there because parking is kind of expensive in Shenzhen. So everyone either takes public transit, walks, they use the bike shares. Probably about half my team uses bike shares.
Nice.
And then maybe a quarter of the team uses. They have like these personal transport vehicles, right? Like like electric skateboards, or some of them have hoverboards. Some of them have one wheels, right? Some of them have so they have all these kind of, and that's how they get there, right? And so it's kind of but Shenzhen is a much bigger city than Palo Alto or the Bay Area. It's like it's massive, right? And if they didn't do that, you would have just a massive parking jam. Right?
Yeah.
It just So, but no, it's a good point. It needs to be available. But in Shenzhen, no problem. You have like 10 choices.
There's such a density.
They're
just
so
everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere. Actually, one thing they started to do, which they didn't do when I first started seeing it, is they actually have people who are paid to sit there and organize the bikes. So before, people would just like, it's kind of like rural campus.
Yeah.
The bikes would just be all over the place, right? So there's actually a person who stands up all the bikes nice and neat and organizes them.
Yeah, that's critical.
So,
and I think Google does employ a whole team to do that.
I don't
Reposition bikes. And
Really? No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
I
they
never
do.
know-
They
I
go
never
around in the
noticed that.
trucks collecting the bikes.
Oh, I never noticed that. Because
So maybe they're not keeping up as well as they should.
I see Google bikes all over the place. And it just looks like it's
No,
like-
there's a maintenance team.
but,
So it could be worse.
yeah, but I saw, but in Shenzhen, there's a guy like who maintains like this one guy. He maintains 4 corners of bikes, right? So like on all the major intersections at Shenzhen, they have this guy who will stand up all the bikes to walk like as he does that all day long, like just like one corner.
Just maintain.
Because there's like hundreds of bikes, right? And so he's always like, trying to organize the bikes nice and neat.
It's great.
So I think they're trying.
So that counts as green jobs, right?
I guess, yeah. But it seems like it's like who would have guessed that someone's job would be organizing bikes? So,
Yeah. Well, on the car park, I love the idea of a European car park with a lift. The only concern would be the cost and who pays for it and would
it's actually cheaper than
drivers
building.
pay.
It's cheaper than building actually. It's like in fact, you can go on Amazon and buy one yourself, right? So you can buy them as cheap as 10K, right? And those just for 2 levels. They have fancy ones like they're like a Ferris wheel, so you can have like 10 cars, like in the space of 2 cars, you have 10 cars back there, right? And they're just these temporary structures, right?
Yeah.
And then if you put them together, you could, like in San Jose airport, how they have all those hands, so you can wrap it with some sort of wrap. So
Put a screen so that it looks nice.
yeah, so it doesn't look so ghetto, right?
Cool.
And so, but yeah, I mean, the problem with traditional parking garages is that only 10% of the volume of the garage is actually car. Right? 90% of it is air or concrete or ramps. So very little of that is. Yeah. And also it locks in the land. You get to put all this concrete, right? And so it's incredibly expensive. And it makes that the use of it, especially on the Europe, so expensive. But with these kind of this, like I've seen them assemble like a 10 space one over you got 2 spaces. They assemble it in less than 10 hours. I watched a YouTube video that they put it all together in 10 hours. You can like boom, have it built.
Great.
10 hours, and if you don't like it,
and then it's not a 50-year commitment to concrete expands.
No, and if one day you don't need that, take it out, sell it to someone else, right? And use the land for something else, right? So it's, I think these kind of more progressive type things are needed, but it's difficult right now because people don't understand, right? They're all they're used to is what they've seen before.
That's right.
So
yeah, but we don't have to be so provincial. This is Palo Alto.
Yes,
This is like a large university.
You would think so, but yeah, unfortunately,
we are out of time now.
Yeah, even the most simple things. Yeah.
Well, thank you for
Yeah,
taking such an
for
innovative approach to this.
No, we're trying.
I hope that these alternatives can be explored instead of just laying down 20 or 40 million. And,
No, I'm working on that.
yeah, so let
Thank
me
you
know
so
what I
much.
can do, and please stay in
Okay.
touch.
Well, thank you very much for
Thanks.
coming.
Continue to write in about these
Yes.
ideas, because that's what we need.
We will.
Because the challenge is that not everyone thinks like this, and so they need to see that the community wants.
Yeah, can you tell me who's the transportation staffer? Is it Public Works? Or
It's Joshua
Joshua
Mello.
Mellon?
Mello.
Do you want me to send you his email? You want me to
That
send
would be awesome.
Oh, great. I can
really
do that.
appreciate
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and maybe we can sit down and see, have staff explore these ideas about the lifts.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
We can also schedule another meeting at a later date if you have something else to talk about.
Thanks.
And thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
You too.
Yep.